In a work, work, work world, what difference will one day make? The Earth won't alter its course. Cats and dogs will be cats and dogs. Rain will still fall from the sky. So take time for Sunday. Just know that your truck has a little thing for Monday.
We got to get to this story on this Sunday morning. Pope Francis has been sick. He's been a bit ill. He's a lot better, and he was just recently in southern Italy speaking to an agricultural community that was, unemployment is sky high there. And he said, of course, the poor need to have jobs, and that's going to make them feel better about themselves. But the most important thing in life, anyway, is your relationships and your friends and your family, and obviously praising the Lord. And he says, is working on Sundays true freedom, and basically says, all of this hard work that people are doing on the weekends, on Sundays, is having a negative impact on their lives.
It's so easy to let just work seep in. I mean, if you're home on the weekend and you have, job Monday through Friday, and I'm just going to get some work done. I'm going to go down to my office, do some work. I'm going to get this done. But you don't realize then what it's taking away from that day of rest, that day of family, and that hour, that 2 hours just starts to snowball. And I think he has a great point.
Yeah, well, of course he does. I mean, Judaism takes this very seriously. Orthodox Jews do not mess around, and I admire this so much, about the Sabbath. Mm-hmm. And again, you see this in the Old and New Testaments. Keep the Sabbath holy. Don't work. It's almost like people, it's baked in, have always had this temptation to let work crowd out all the other things that matter. Family, faith. And they have to be told again and again, knock it off, don't work. It's interesting. You think people are lazy, but they
probably we should be debating a bill requiring every American to attend a church of their choice on Sunday.
That was Senator Sylvia Allen yesterday talking about the possibility of forcing people to attend church.
A very late appropriation meeting, and we were all extremely tired. I made a remark about America's in a need of a moral
Allen believes
rebirth.
the country is heading in the wrong direction, and to prove her point, she told a story about her youth.
I can remember it wasn't until high school I understood there was anything like heroin, drugs. It just wasn't talked about in our society. It was a different time. People prayed, people went to church.
Most businesses were closed on Sundays in the U.S., but for many decades, shopping on Sundays has become the norm here. However, in Greece, it remains a major point of contention, pitting religious tradition against recent economic realities. Special correspondent Malcolm Brabant reports.
In Piraeus, Greece's main port city, the churches are filled to bursting point as Orthodox Christians maintain traditions handed down the generations. Here, Sundays are for devotions to the saints, not for worshipping at the altar of profit. The city's bishop has condemned Sunday shopping as an act of war with the church. But in St. Evangelistras, Father Yorgos Yogakopoulos is more measured.
We are of the opinion, from a religious point of view, that the sixth day of the week is provided to man for communication with God, but also that attempts are being made to get rid of what we know as normal life, to try and turn us into robots and machines by making all the days the same, every day a working day, all days without meaning.
Sunday has been enshrined in law as a day of rest here in France for more than 100 years. And for some, at the heart of this debate about working hours is the impact any change might have on family life.
I think it's important that people have a day where they can all meet, because it's very complicated to get together otherwise.
There are other things to do on a Sunday when you're with your family, other than hang around in shops. But my personal opinion is that people should have a choice to work if they want.
Some French unions, though, are keen to keep the ban on Sunday trading in place and have taken legal action to prevent businesses from opening. The unions want to preserve Sunday as a day of rest and relaxation in France.
Wierzę w to, że w ten sposób przywracamy normalność. Wierzę w to, że po prostu przyzwyczaimy się do tego, tak jak jest w innych krajach Unii Europejskiej, tak jak jest w Niemczech czy w Austrii, Że po prostu sklepy są zamknięte w niedzielę.
The government will introduce a ban on Sunday shopping in large commercial centers by the end of this year. The reason? The Italian government feels that shopping on weekends is destroying family traditions and creating distance between family members. Deputy Prime Minister said, and I quote, "This liberalization is in fact destroying Italian families. We need to start limiting opening and closing times again," unquote. Larger stores have been ordered to close on national holidays as well. This comes as a big U-turn by the Italian government. In 2012, the government had liberalized Sunday trading in a bid to spur economic growth. This despite pressure from the Roman Catholic Church and unions to mark Sunday as a traditional rest day.
Do we really want to live without a Sunday, without a day where we don't work? Many workers nowadays don't have a choice, with all the consequences for their families and their private life at large. Europa, the European Services Workers Union, demands of the new European Parliament and the new European Commission to make a difference, to have legislation that people do not need to work on Sundays. Get involved. Send in your video messages and your picture messages. Let's keep Sundays special for all.
I arrive in Tonga this morning and I get off the plane, I get in a cab, I go to my hotel, and everything just feels off. Something's really weird, and I realize that nobody's outside. All the shops are closed. It almost felt like a ghost town, and it was really eerie. And I was in the taxi ride like thinking, where am I? Am I on Mars? Like nobody is around. I wondered if there was a natural disaster, or maybe someone important passed away and they are all in mourning. I'm walking down the main street here in the capital of Tonga, and there is just nothing happening. It's so quiet out here. But after speaking with a few locals, I realized that today is Sunday, and Tonga is the world's only country that actually doesn't open up on Sundays. On Sundays, everything's closed, right?
Everything is closed.
When the king of Tonga was baptized a Christian, he said he ruled that Sunday everybody is to have their rest. It's also part of the upbringing. You're brought up not to do anything on Sundays.
It is illegal to work, unless of course you work in a hospital or police station. So we're pulling up by the airport right now, and it is completely closed.
The airport is closed.
You can get fined or even thrown in jail if you are seen working in public, as it is written in their constitution. You're not allowed to do any chores or play loud music. It's a day of rest.
On Sundays, Tongans only do three things. Rotu, kai, mohe. We only go to church, and we eat, and we sleep.
Tongans are quite religious people, similar to their Pacific Island neighbors. Over 97% of people here are Catholic and are strict churchgoers. You can find about 3 churches on every corner in this town, and the only sounds you can hear on the streets are church bells and prayers.
It is the night before Christmas, and we're going to begin with an unusual look at one of the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. A chicken restaurant might seem like a surprising way to explore the meaning of this biblical edict, but the folks at Chick-fil-A believe an important ingredient in their recipe for success is faith. And that means that each week when Sunday arrives, the doors close.
The bipartisan bill to repeal North Dakota's blue laws failed earlier this week in the Senate by 3 votes. But what's drawing new attention? The comments made by some senators regarding religion and their justification for voting against the repeal. One even talking at length about atheism, then creationism. So what does this have to do with opening a store earlier on a Sunday? Valley News Team's Christine Stanwood took to the streets to find out what you think.
North Dakota Senator Dick Dever voted no on the Sunday blue law. But before voting no, Dever decided to go on a nearly 8-minute speech.
Atheists believe there is no God.
So what does this have to do with the Sunday blue laws?
If you were to Google humanism, you might come to their website where they talk about separation of church and state and their efforts to the value of Sunday morning is not in the profits that roll through the cash registers. The value of Sunday mornings is in the time.
So what does Sunday mean to Senator Dever?
The time to reflect on the many blessings that we have been bestowed on us as a country, and yes, to be grateful to the one who did that. I'm voting no on this.
The Sabbath is 2 things to me. One, it's this incredible idea. It's really one of the great ideas in human history. It's transformed the world. It's affected the way we've lived for thousands of years. And I was interested in thinking about it, studying it, learning its history before it kind of disappeared from our lives. So that was the big idea that I had about the Sabbath. And then what it meant to me personally was it was a way to get outside of the workaday, driven, careerist life that I was leading.
You know, it's interesting because you talk about, you know, Christians, any religion, people have these moments where they feel like they're searching for something, right? And then it can be even harder now, as you say, you know, we're connected. I'm showing my BlackBerry and my iPhone, and you're always connected. And sometimes, do you think it's always about religion, or is it just about connecting to source, connecting to family, pulling back and not being so involved in the rat race?
Don, that is exactly the point. That's exactly the point of what I discovered about the Sabbath, which is that it is a really good idea for people, for families, for communities to set aside a structured time in which to connect with each other. And that is at the heart what the Sabbath does.
You said, this is a quote from you, you said it's a collective time illness. What does that mean?
Collective time sickness, actually. I say we're driven by time rather than driving it ourselves, and it's making us sick. The idea of the Sabbath is not just that all people have the right not to work, which, by the way, was a radical and new idea when it was first conceived and written down in the Fourth Commandment. It's not only that, it's that all people have the right to work, not to work, at the same time, so that they can be together. And one of the things that's happening to us is that we're getting on these very different schedules, and we're having a very hard time figuring out how to come together. And what the Sabbath does is it creates this situation in which there's just a structured period in which we can come together.
Well, these holy laws, they're also called blue laws, and what they're originally designed to do is to enforce religious standards in the United States. Now, blue laws have been challenged throughout the history of the country. Most recently, in 1961, under McGowan versus Maryland, it was found that blue laws are actually not unconstitutional. So you can still enforce blue laws, and plenty of states do that, like you mentioned with the alcohol ban. Certain states who cancel groceries, but I mean, a lot of these standards that are not these crazy-sounding laws exist to kind of preserve a day of rest, the Sabbath, the Sunday. Not for people to go to church necessarily, but for there to be a kind of standardized day for people to have a day.